Welcome back to Klinga Games. Today is week 5 of the QBA season. 2 more weeks left until the playoffs. We are currently seeded number 2, and we are playing the number 1 ranked team, the Arctovish Athletics, today. The Arctovish Athletics coach has a YouTube channel. He posts some really cool VGC content. He posts his QBA videos. If you're interested in Pokemon, if you're interested in battling, if you're interested in Draft League, if you're interested in any of that, I highly recommend his channel. I'll put a link to it here. I would highly recommend checking him out. If you're watching me, you should be watching him. But my opponent has a very difficult to prepare for team. He's got Coalossal, he's got Rillaboom, he's got Urshifu, he's got a lot of big threats. So I'm pretty nervous about today's game, and we'll go ahead and head into the battles now. Okay, start of game 1, he brought Rillaboom, Urshifu, Coalossal, Luxray, Arcanine, and Weavile. I know from his team that the Urshifu has to be Rapid Strike, which is the water form. So I go ahead and bring Ludicolo, Thundurus, Indeedee, and Alakazam. As you can see, I made those decisions pretty quick. I did a lot of theory crafting building up to this week. So I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to run first game to kind of feel out his team and give me the best chance of winning. Alright, exciting stuff. Number 1 team versus number 2 team. We are currently number 2 heading into this game. We are playing on a different rule set. He had one Pokemon that didn't have the battle ready mark, so we played on normal double battles. So we actually get to see the nicknames when we battle this time, so that's pretty fun. So he leads Weavile and Luxray, and I lead Tornadus and Ludicolo. His Luxray is shiny, which is pretty cool. I think I prefer the non-shiny color scheme better. Luxray is actually one of my favorite designs, so I prefer the non-shiny, but the shiny, it's pretty cool to have shiny, so no disrespect there. And I go ahead and Electro Web turn 1, and I'm expecting a fake out from his Weavile. So I go ahead and switch in Indeedee. Indeedee has the Psychic Surge ability, so it will set up Psychic Terrain and prevent all priority moves from activating. So Ludicolo switches out, and we bring in Nurse, the Tower Master, who sets up the nice Psychic Terrain for us, which is always very helpful for us. So Weavile tries to fake out, and we get protected by the Psychic Surge. And Nurse takes a pretty big hit here from Luxray using a Wild Charge. And then Thor gets the Electro Web off. I should have noticed it earlier. His Luxray is Choice Scarf. I didn't notice at this time, but the fact that it outsped my Thundurus should have been a tell that he was moving faster than it should be. But at the time, I didn't think about it. So I go ahead and Electro Web again, and I cycle between Protect and Expanding Force. I go ahead and click Protect just to feel out what they're going to do now that they don't have Fake Out. So we get the Protect up, keep Nurse safe. Nurse is very helpful for the late game. And Thundurus gets another Electro Web off, so now they're both sitting at -2 speed, which is very useful for us. It's always good to have speed control in Pokemon, whether you're using Trick Room to give your slow Pokemon an advantage, or you're lowering the opponent's speed or increasing your own. Any kind of speed control is useful. You always want to make sure you're attacking before your opponent. So they go ahead and hit an Icicle Crash into Thor. They got a critical hit, which is a one-hit KO. I'm not sure if that normally one-hit KOs. Thor's running all special defense bulk this week, so I'm not sure how much damage that would have done without the critical hit. So we go ahead and hit Dazzling Gleam with Alakazam because it will hit Weavile for super effective, and it'll do a pretty big chunk to Luxray as well. And we switch Indeedee out into Ludicolo. So Ndidi switches out. We bring in Ludicolo the Sodden. And Alakazam gets a big Dazzling Gleam up here, knocks out the Weavile, gets a critical hit onto the Luxray, which does a big chunk of damage. And then Luxray gets a big wild charge here, knocks out Spoons in one hit. So you weren't here for a long time, Alakazam, but you did good while you were here. And then the recoil knocks out Luxray. This was kind of unfortunate for me. I knew what Pokemon he had in the back, and I would have really preferred to have only one of the Pokemon come in, but we got that critical hit, and then Luxray knocked itself out with recoil. So they get to bring in their Urshifu and Coalossal here. I would like to preferably keep these two off the field together because they're very good at setting up Coalossal to just take out teams. But luckily I still have my Ndidi, which I kept alive throughout the game for this kind of moment exactly. Where Ndidi gets Follow Me, and then I can just attack into the other team and not worry about them targeting into Ludicolo. Now this turn I expected them to detect and protect. I expected a double protect here because I think they were hoping that I would set up their Steam Engine and Weakness Policy for them. I kind of expected that, so I went ahead and attacked into Coalossal with a Max Overgrowth just to get some damage off. It doesn't really matter. I kind of knew that they were going to protect, and I didn't want to just waste a turn. So if they didn't protect here, then it would have done a decent chunk of damage. If they did, then I would not be setting up their stat boosts for them. So we do the Follow Me, which is pointless because they protected. And then we get a Max Overgrowth onto the Coalossal. So this isn't too big this turn. It does set up the Grassy Terrain later, because we're going to have to take down this Urshifu. And the best move that Ludicolo has for that is the Max Overgrowth. So while it's not too much damage here in Coalossal, it's not too big of a deal here, it does help us down the line. And then everybody gets their health back. Then we just click Follow Me again, and this time I'm pretty confident that they're not going to protect. So I go ahead and max Geyser into their Coalossal, which they named Easy Bake, which is a pretty good nickname for Coalossal, I think. My Coalossal that I use occasionally is nicknamed Old King Cole, but I haven't used it in a long time. I may bring it back at some point. Oh, I may not actually, because Series 10 starts. I don't think it's going to be very good in that, but I don't know. Maybe I'll get a chance to use it again. So, Coalossal gets up here. We go ahead and Follow Me so that they cannot Aqua Jet into themselves. So then they get a Searching Strikes here into the Ndidi, which does big damage, more damage than we can take because they go ahead and they knock us out here with their third hit. So Ndidi goes down, but Ndidi did its job, kept Ludicolo safe, and kept Coalossal from setting itself up so that we could get off this big Max Geyser, which Coalossal has 0% chance of surviving. Ludicolo hits a lot harder than you'd expect it to, so with Stab and Life Orb, Ludicolo 100% takes that KO. There's no situation where it doesn't knock it out. So, see you later, Coalossal. Glad you couldn't terrorize us this game. So then we're sitting here with Ludicolo in the rain with Swift Swim. I actually got the right ability this time. Against their Urshifu, so we outspeed it, and their water type attacks are going to do almost nothing into us. So at this point, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. We just hit them with some grass type moves, take them out. So they get to Detect here, and then because we got the Grassy Terrain set up, and because Ludicolo is just that good, we get a gigantic hit here through the Detect. We take out, I would say, like 75% of its health through Detect. So, puts this game on ice. There's really nothing they can do here. Ludicolo finishes its max, but game one is basically in the bag here. And Ludicolo got 2 of the 3 KOs. 2 of the 4 KOs, not 3. Which is a omen for things to come, because Ludicolo is amazing this week. So we get a big energy ball here, knock out Urshifu, and we take game 1 of the biggest series of the season. So, pretty good game there. I think everybody on the team contributed in some way or another. Alright, so after a big game 1, game 2 I decided to change things up a little bit. You gotta bring the team mascot at some point, so I went ahead and brought Crobat. I don't remember exactly what I was thinking here with the Indeedee Crobat lead. It's a really bad idea, and I'm not sure what I was thinking. But I eventually come to my senses. I get way too close to doing it, but I eventually come to my senses, drop Indeedee in lead, Crobat Ludicolo with Indeedee and Alakazam in the back. I don't know what I was thinking there. Crobat Indeedee would have been a very passive start. That would have been really bad. So we get into game 2 here. So they go ahead and lead Luxray Weavile again, which they don't change things up, so they seem to think their plan was pretty good. We lead Crobat and Ludicolo. So Luxray gets its Intimidate off. We don't really care. Crobat's immune, and Ludicolo is a special attacker. So we go ahead and get a Rain Dance off, and go ahead and Max Geyser into the Luxray. And it was right about here that I realized that Luxray was Choice Scarf. So it took me long enough, but better late than never, I guess. So we get Ludicolo maxed up here. T-pose for dominance, to assert dominance. So they snarl here, and they outsped my Crobat, which was what made me realize that they were Choice Scarf on their Weavile. It took me way longer than it should have to figure that out. I wasn't paying the best attention, I guess. I need to get better about that. So Crobat goes ahead and sets up the Rain Dance, which 1 boosts Ludicolo's speed, and 2 increases the power of Water-type moves, which lets us get this big one-hit KO on Luxray, even being at -1 special attack. And then Weavile gets the Snarl off. My opponent called his Weavile Arcanine and Luxray the Snarl Squad, which I thought was pretty fun. So then they go ahead and bring out their Coalossal here, which I know what they're doing. I know they're trying to get me to set up their boosts for them. But what they don't know is that my Crobat is packing Haze, so I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to go ahead and set up his boosts, and then I'm going to take him away just for the fun of it. So that was one of the little techs I brought this week for Crobat. Coalossal is a very, very dangerous Pokemon. It's super, super powerful, but it's very reliant on getting stat boosts. And Crobat is one of the few Pokemon that gets Haze and is actually viable. So it has the ability to get rid of Coalossal's boosts after we've already set them up. So we go ahead, hit him with the big Max Geyser through the Protect to take out about 60% of their health. They get their Weakness Palsy and their Steam Engine, and then this play was very fun for me. I enjoyed this. And then we get a big Haze off, so we just take away 1, the stat reductions on myself, and 2, the stat increases on their Coalossal. So that was a pretty fun play. Now this turn, though, I make a big misplay. So I expect their Coalossal to switch out here. And so I target into it with a Hurricane from Crobat. But I also target into it with Ludicolo. So I really waste my my max move here, which Crobat could have taken Urshifu out on its own with that Hurricane. So I really, really should have targeted into Weavile there with the Max Geyser, which comes back to bite us at the end. So that was a really bad play on my part. We do get the Hurricane, we do get the critical hit, which does not matter in the slightest. Urshifu was paper thin on the special side, and Crobat actually has pretty respectable special attack, and Hurricane's an amazing move. So we make a very bad misplay there. We wouldn't have knocked out the Weavile because it's a Focus Sash, but we would have taken it down to its Sash, and we would have burnt the Sash, which is very important later on. So we go ahead and we bring in Indeedee here just to get some support for Ludicolo, and they bring in their Coalossal. So we do get the Psychic Surge up. We're still in the rain. We're still very fast. But I just play this. The end of this game was not my best game in the world, I'll be honest with you. So I'm not really threatened too much here. So I go ahead and Helping Hand into the Ludicolo. And Energy Ball. Or no. Sorry. Eventually. I go ahead and Expanding Force here. And Hydro Pump into the Coalossal. This was another really bad play. If I was going to Expanding Force, there's no reason for me to Hydro Pump here. Again, I should have just targeted the Weavile, because now it's just going to keep snarling. And Coalossal got the Protect, so now I'm at -2 special attack. And I'm taking damage on both Pokemon, so I made a lot of mistakes here just not targeting the Weavile, not seeing it as a threat. And kind of putting all my focus on Coalossal and getting it off the field. So I kind of fell into like one of the classic Coalossal traps, which is targeting into Coalossal with all your might instead of taking out its opponents. It's really tough to play Coalossal because you can't really do one or the other all the way. You kind of have to balance the two, which I didn't do a great job in this game. So they do get the double protect, which I made some misplays, but that also won them the game. If they didn't get the double protect there, we take out Coalossal this turn, and then we just gang up on Weavile. But because they got that double protect, they go ahead and stop my moves, and rain ends, which is really important because Ludicolo is faster than Weavile in the rain, but now Weavile is the fastest thing on the field. So I kind of wasted my my moves here. So now I'm kind of panicking. I know I need to get damage on the Weavile because Weavile will easily be able to take out the Alakazam I've got in the back, because I only have one damaging move on it, and Weavile's got the Focus Sash. So I kind of panic here and go for an attack into Weavile, which I really shouldn't have done. I should have just taken out Coalossal, because Weavile is not going to take out Ludicolo on its own. So I made the mistake of targeting down Coalossal and not worrying about Weavile. And then I make the same mistake here, but flipped, where I now have the chance to take out Coalossal, but I turn it down to get damage onto Weavile. So, just really bad into the game here. I had a really good start to the game, which I recognize, but the end of the game, I just made a lot of misplays, and they got a big double protect that kind of gave them a chance to win. So, we'll go ahead and play it out. I don't mean to get ahead of myself here, but you can see how much damage that Surf did to Coalossal. If we doubled up into it here, we probably have a good chance of taking it out. They get the big max flare here into Indeedee, which does not take it out because we already burnt through its weakness policy. So even though it's fast, it doesn't hit as hard as it normally does, which I did not do a good job of recognizing, and we don't do enough damage here. So Indeedee gets decent damage here, but if we doubled up into it with Hydro Pump and with an Expanding Force, then that's an easy KO. So that was just a bad play by my part. And now I'm just pinned in. Indeedee can't attack, can't hurt the Weavile, and Ludicolo is going to go down here to whatever move Coalossal uses. I thought that I could protect Indeedee and then attack and take out the Coalossal with Ludicolo. I figured if I did this, then Indeedee would be around the next turn to do a follow me and let Alakazam take out both Pokemon. But he very smartly here goes with the Vocalith, sets up the rocks, takes out Ludicolo, and then Indeedee does not have enough health left. So even though we tried to keep it around here with the Protect, it ended up being pretty useless because we don't have enough HP to survive a Vocalith. So that was, again, just a really, really bad turn by me. I kind of get into these habits of trying to play to like point differential and then losing the game because of it. So I need to get better about that. And then Alakazam is not faster than Coalossal when it's set up. So I really needed Indeedee support there, which their Vocalith took care of. So good on them to recognize that and use the move that would take out both my Pokemon. So they go ahead and max Flare here in the sun, takes out Alakazam. So sorry, Alakazam, I should have put you in a better position. And they take game 2, so we're sitting at 1-1 right now. So really good game by them. Alright, so game 3, after that horrible bombing of a game, we lead the same way, Crobat, Ludicolo, with Indeedee, Alakazam in the back, which I recognized, even though I lost that game, I recognized that the Pokemon I brought were the correct Pokemon. Or I almost made a horrible mistake here and brought Thundurus, but I recognized that the Pokemon I brought last game were the correct Pokemon. I just didn't play well at the end. I didn't make the right targets, and I misplayed attacking into Coalossal with both Pokemon when I should have just Hurricaned. And then at the end, just bad targeting. Should have taken out the Weavile. Should have done a lot of things, but so I recognized that the Pokemon were correct. My play was what was wrong. So I bring the same Pokemon and I devote myself to playing a little bit better here. And then my opponent got really aggressive here. So this was very, very fun, this game. So they bring out their Coalossal Urshifu right away. And I lead Crobat Ludicolo. So this here, I go ahead and do Haze eventually. So I had an idea here to do Haze and then do a Max Geyser into Coalossal. My thought process here was that if they boosted themselves, I could get rid of their boosts and then take out Coalossal next turn. I realized after the game that I'll let the turn play out, and then I'll kind of talk about what I should have done. So we max Ludicolo, who T-poses to assert dominance. They go ahead and max their Coalossal. So we are looking at a very, very aggressive start here. We're both sitting at 1-1. We're both feeling the pressure, and we both just said, screw it. Let's put all our cards on the table. So they max their Coalossal, they max their metagame Giant, and we max our T-pose dominance Pokemon. So they Aqua Jet themselves, do huge damage to themselves because Urshifu has massive attack and Coalossal's 4 times weak to rock. So even though you're targeting yourself with 40 base power move, you're going to be doing a chunk of change there. So I don't think they expected how much damage they did to themselves. They flare into the Crobat, expecting that, I don't know if they knew that it was a Focus Sash, but they were expecting that they would be able to live a Geyser in the sun. So here I Haze, I get rid of their stat drops, and then I go ahead and Geyser into them. So what I didn't think about here was if they survived this, then they would have gotten their speed boost again. So what I should have done here, which is good for future knowledge, what I should have done here was I should have Tailwinded with Crobat. That was just I'm glad it worked out, but the thought process was not there, so I need to get better about that. But we get a big Max Geyser, we knock out their Coalossal, and we prevent rocks from going up, and they no longer have a max for the rest of the game. So they go ahead and bring in their Rillaboom. So here is where Crobat is worried because it's at 1 HP. and both of these Pokemon have priority. So I go ahead and I switch out my Crobat into Indeedee, and I attack the Urshifu with a max overgrowth. This wasn't a bad play, but I think what I should have done here, I need to do the calcs, but I think what I should have done here is I should have geysered into Urshifu. Obviously, max overgrowth is the strongest move against Urshifu, but I think in the rain with a special attack, even though it's not very effective, it would have KO'd the Urshifu. So I'll need to do the calcs to figure that out, but either way, it's not a bad play. We take out the Urshifu, we prevent damage to Crobat. We do set up the grassy terrain again for Rillaboom. So we brought in Indeedee to set up the Psychic terrain, and then we overrided ourselves with their preferred terrain. So that was an interesting turn all around. But we prevented Crobat from going out, and we prevented the priority moves. So they would hammer into Ludicolo, which does massive damage in the grassy terrain. Rillaboom is a scary Pokemon. It's a really good Pokemon. I kind of a tangent, but I always choose the grass starter in every Pokemon game. Rillaboom's not my favorite, I would say. My favorite's Torterra, but Rillaboom is definitely the most the most meta grass starter I think there's been, other than Venusaur. So they bring in their Luxray. So what I do here is I switch out into my Crobat just so I can I have to sacrifice it. I don't want them to keep the grassy terrain because Rillaboom is an absolute monster in it. So they're down to 2 Pokemon. They can no longer switch. So I go ahead and bring out the Crobat just to eat whatever attack Luxray throws out here. Which they luckily Grassy Glide into Ludicolo. No damage there. But they do Snarl, which hits both Pokemon. Ludicolo protects itself, but Crobat goes down. Crobat did incredible this game. It did everything we wanted it to do. And then Ludicolo gets a nice heal here on its last turn of Dynamax. And even better, we're still in the rain. And we can bring out Indeedee here and get rid of their terrain. So we get the Psychic Surge going, and that I think this is about where they didn't have a chance after this, because Rillaboom is very, very good with its priority Grassy Glide. Without priority, it's not very fast, and we're in the rain, and we have Choice Scarf, Alakazam in the back. So we go ahead and we Ice Beam into the Rillaboom and follow me with the Indeedee. So we know that Luxray is scarfed, so we know we're not going to be taking much damage. And we just go ahead and follow me and Ice Beam into Rillaboom. They get the Snarl off, does a little bit of damage to both. We're not really too worried about keeping Ludicolo for the rest of the game. Alakazam's in the back, and Choice Scarf Alakazam outspeeds everything on their team. They do get the knockoff onto Indeedee, knock off the Lumberry, but we're still in a pretty good position here. Ludicolo is the fastest thing on the field in the rain. So we just go ahead and protect Indeedee so we can keep it around next turn, just to finish everything off. And I suspected that their Rillaboom was Assault Vest and could not protect, so I went ahead and just finished it off here. Alakazam could easily take out both of these Pokemon in Psychic Terrain, but it's best to play it safe, take out what you can. Ludicolo, so we take out Rillaboom, and then Ludicolo goes down to its own Life Orb recoil. So it's not really important in the long run, but we do take a kill off their board. They ended up not getting recorded. They ended up not getting a kill for that. So it doesn't really matter, but it's kind of cool to see that on the scoreboard. So we still have Indeedee, they have Luxray, and we bring out our Alakazam. I don't think they knew that Alakazam was Choice Scarf this set, because there was never a point where the Scarf mattered in the speed calcs. But I think they expected their Luxray to outspeed our Alakazam here. So we just Helping Hand, and we get a big Psychic here. Psychic and Psychic Terrain just devastates just about everything. So there's no chance Luxray survives that. It's not the bulkiest of Pokemon. And then we get a victory in Game 3, and that gives us a 2-1 victory in the set. Alright, so I'll go ahead and give a quick overview of the team that I was running for this week's game. First up was Ludicolo holding a Life Orb with max HP, max speed with a modest nature, and the Swift Swim ability. I actually got it right this time. With Protect, Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, and Energy Ball. One thing I kind of noticed at the end was that Hydro Pump was not very good when I was non-maxed. I had to focus on one Pokemon and it only has an 80% accuracy. So I think the next time I have to run a special Ludicolo, I'm going to change that up to Muddy Water. But other than that, Ice Beam and Energy Ball were both really good. I noticed one play where I should have targeted the Urshifu with a Max Geyser instead of the Grass move, because then I set up Grassy Terrain for Rillaboom, so I could have avoided that in the second game. Ludicolo has the Sodden mark on it. Next up is 4-Wing the Crobat, who had its best showing of the season so far, holding a Focus Sash, max HP, max speed with 1 point in special attack with the Inner Focus ability, with Tailwind, Haze, Rain Dance, and Hurricane. Tailwind, always run Tailwind if you're running Crobat. Haze, I thought was a really nice strategy to run on it, because my opponent was running Coalossal, which is very, very dependent on the stat boosts they can get. So running Haze allowed me to just undo those stat boosts, and it made Coalossal a lot less of a threat. And then Rain Dance set up Rain for Ludicolo, made it go faster. And Hurricane, since I was running Rain, Hurricane is a 100% accurate move in the Rain, so it was Crobat's best stab move today. And then Crobat has the Serene mark on it. Next up was Indeedee, or Nurse, which is the same Indeedee I run every single week, but this time it was holding a Lumberry, so same EV spread, same moves, and it's just an all-around great Pokemon. Next up was Thor, the Thundurus, holding a Charty Berry to weakened a super effective Rock-type attack. Probably from Coalossal is what I was expecting, but it never actually happened. Max Special Defense, Max HP with a Timid Nature, and Prankster is the ability. We ran Electro Web, Rain Dance, Thunder Wave, and Protect. Rain Dance was obviously just set up Ludicolo. Thunder Wave was if I was in a situation where it was better to lead Thundurus than Crobat. If Coalossal does get the boosts, then Ludicolo in the Rain and Coalossal paralyzed, Ludicolo would outspeed. So that was my tech there. I never got to use it in this one, but there's always a chance I could use it in the future. And then Electro Web, pretty good spread move, lowers the speed, it's just all around pretty great support move. And then Protect for Fake Out. Next up, the only one who didn't make a showing was Steely the Registeel with Weakness Policy. Max HP, max attack with 1 point in special defense. Clear Body is the ability. With Protect, Iron Head, Ice Punch, and Stomping Tantrum. This was just if Coalossal would prove to be too much of a challenge for Ludicolo in Game 1. I didn't think it would, but I wanted to make sure that we did not get swept by Coalossal. So Ludicolo has enough bulk to take some hits and could one-hit KO with Max Quake. But we never actually had to use that mode. Ludicolo did amazing this week. The last Pokemon is Spoons, the Alakazam, with a Choice Scarf. Max Special Attack, Max Speed with a Modest Nature, and Magic Guard is the ability, which is very important with Coalossal as our opponent, because then it would not take Vocalith damage. Expanding Force, Psychic, Focus Blast, and Dazzling Gleam. Expanding Force was a really good spread move. We didn't actually get to use it. Psychic terrain, if there's only one opponent, Psychic actually does more damage, so that was if we were stuck with only one opponent, just like at the end with Luxray. Focus Blast was to hit Coalossal super effectively if we had to, and Dazzling Gleam was to hit Weavile. And we had the Rank Master ribbon on it. So that was the team. I'll go ahead and do a brief overview of my opponent for next week. Alright, so next week is the season finale against the Grav Apples. This is one of the fill-in coaches who If you're watching this video, thank you so much for joining the league. I'm really happy you came in, and I'm happy you were able to keep the league up and running. I hope you're enjoying the season, and I'm really looking forward to playing you. On the grab apples, they have Butterfree, Bronzong, Dracovish, Escavalier, Flapple, Lapras with the G-Max form, Tyranitar, Pelipper, Porygon 2, Rotom Heat, and Mimikyu. So the Pokemon that I'm most worried about, I would say, is Lapras G-Max, because it can set up the screens without needing the hail. And then they also have Escavalier, who is a very, very good Trick Room Pokemon, and it's very tough to deal with in the rain, which they have Pelipper to set up. Lapras G-Max can also set up the rain if it maxes. And then they have Porygon 2 and Mimikyu, which are two of the best Trick Room setters, as well as Butterfree, which has Rage Powder, which is similar to Follow Me, except grass types are immune to it. So they have a very interesting team that I'm going to have a lot of fun preparing for, and hopefully I can come up with a good strategy to help limit their threats to me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you are enjoying the Crobat season as it comes to the end. We had a really good week this week. We played very, very well against the best team in the league. So he's still ranked ahead of us because of he's got a better game record and a better differential, where he hasn't lost as many Pokemon in the wins he's had as we have. So unfortunately, we're still going to be ranked number 2, but it's really good to get that win under our belt, and I hope I'm going to be able to see him again in the playoffs, and I'm hoping we can have a similar similar outcome then. So like and subscribe if you like the video, if you're interested in draft leagues, if you're interested in Pokemon. Once the season's over, I've got a couple Series 10 teams I've built that I'm looking forward to getting up on the ladder and making videos for, using some of my favorite restricteds. I'm planning on using the not very used restricted Pokemon. My first team that I made was with Ho-Oh, so if you like Ho-Oh, stick around, because there's going to be a pretty cool Series 10 team that I'm hoping to get some success with. So yeah, thank you for watching. And Ludicolo, do you want to sign us out?